Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ing Genius. If you are preparing for UGC NET English, SET, Assistant Professor, MA English Entrance or PhD Entrance examinations, then literary critics are one of the most important areas you cannot afford to ignore. क्योंकि UGC NET में critics, their works and their critical concepts बार बार पूछे जाते हैं. In this series, we'll revise the most important literary critics in a simple and exam-oriented manner. आज हम क्लासिकल एज से रोमांटिक एज तक के 10 महत्वपूर्ण क्रिटिक्स को समझेंगे. सो लेट्स बिगिन. Let's start with Aristotle, often called as the father of literary criticism. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher and the author of the famous work Poetics. ये विश्व का पहला systematic work on literary criticism माना जाता है. According to Aristotle, literature is an imitation of life. He used the term mimesis for imitation. Aristotle, most important contribution in his theory of tragedy, उन्होंने tragedy के 6 elements बताए हैं. That is plot, character, thought, diction, song, spectacle. According to him, plot is the soul of tragedy. Another important concept is catharsis. Catharsis means purification of emotions through pity and fear. So UGC NET के points जो हैं that we will understand what are they? They are poetics, mimesis, catharsis, hamartia, tragedy. Remember, Aristotle equals to poetics plus catharsis. Now, let's move to Longinus. Longinus wrote the famous work on the sublime. While Aristotle focused on structure, Longinus focused on emotional elevation. According to him, great literature transports readers beyond ordinary experience. जब साहित्य हमें विस्मित, प्रेरित और इमोशनली अपलिफ्ट कर दे तो वह सबलाइम कहलाता है. Longinus identified 5 sources of sublimity that are grandeur of thought, strong emotion, figures of speech, noble diction and dignified composition. So UGC NET की points की बात करें तो on the sublime, sublimity, emotional elevation, remember always. Longinus equals to sublime. Next we have Sir Philip Sidney. Sir Philip Sidney is known for an apology for poetry. At a time when poetry was being attacked, Sidney defended poetry passionately. उन्होंने कहा कि poetry is superior because it teaches and delights simultaneously. Poets inspire moral improvement through imagination. Sidney also rejected Plato's attack on poetry. According to Sidney, the poet never lies because he never claims to present facts. So UGC NET points are an apology for poetry, defense of poetry, poetry teaches and delights. Always remember, Sidney equals to defense of poetry. Next we have the most important critic known as John Dryden. John Dryden is often called the father of English criticism. His major critical work is Essay of Dramatic Poesy. Dryden compared ancient and modern writers. उन्होंने French और English drama की तुलना भी की. Dryden always believed criticism should be practical and balanced. He emphasized dramatic realism and artistic excellence. So UGC NET points की बात करें तो Essay of Dramatic Poesy, father of English criticism, ancient versus moderns, and always remember, Dryden equals to practical criticism. Next we have Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson is one of the most influential critics of neoclassical age. His famous works include Preface to Shakespeare, Lives of Poets. Johnson admired Shakespeare because he portrayed universal human nature. उन्होंने कहा कि literature should represent life truthfully. Unlike strict neoclassical critics, Johnson valued practical wisdom. So UGC NET points are Preface to Shakespeare, Lives of Poets, Universal Human Nature, and always remember Johnson equals to practical wisdom. Now we enter the Romantic Age, and the most important name is William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth's most important critical work is the Preface to Lyrical Ballads. This work is considered the manifesto of Romanticism. Wordsworth rejected artificial poetic language. उन्होंने ordinary language और common people को poetry का केंद्र बनाया. According to Wordsworth, Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Poetry originates from emotion recollected in tranquility. So UGC net points are preface to lyrical ballads, romanticism, spontaneous overflow. Always remember Wordsworth equals to emotion plus nature. Next we have S.T. Coleridge. S.T. Coleridge's major critical work is Biographia Literaria. He expanded Romantic criticism significantly. His most famous contribution is the distinction between fancy and imagination. Fancy merely combines ideas mechanically. Imagination creates something new and organic. उन्होंने प्राइमरी इमेजिनेशन और सेकेंडरी इमेजिनेशन का भी डिस्टिंक्शन दिया. सो यूजीसी नेट पॉइंट्स आर बायोग्राफिया लिटरेरिया, fancy versus imagination, primary imagination, secondary imagination, and always remember Coleridge equals to imagination. Next we have P.B. Shelley. Shelley wrote A Defense of Poetry. According to Shelley, poets are visionaries who shape society. उन्होंने poets को unacknowledged legislators of the world कहा. Shelley believed poetry develops imagination, sympathy, and moral awareness. Poetry is not merely entertainment, it transforms humanity. So UGC net points की बात करें, a defense of poetry, unacknowledged legislators, poetry and social change. Remember, Shelley equals to poet as visionary. Next we have Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold is one of the most important Victorian critics. His famous concepts include touchstone methods, high seriousness. Arnold always believed literature should promote culture and moral values. उन्होंने कहा कि great poetry possesses high seriousness. Touchstone method means evaluating poetry by comparing it with great literary passages. UGC net points, touchstone method, high seriousness, culture and anarchy. Remember, Arnold equals to touchstone method. Next we have Walter Pater. Walter Pater is associated with aesthetic movement. His central idea was art for art's sake. According to Pater, art does not need moral or social purposes. The purpose of art is beauty itself. उन्होंने aesthetic experience को सबसे महत्वपूर्ण माना. So UGC net points are aesthetic movement, art for art's sake, beauty as ultimate goal. Remember, Walter Pater equals to aestheticism. Now let's have the rapid revision. Aristotle, Poetics, Catharsis. Longinus, Sublime. Philip Sidney, Defense of Poetry. Dryden, Essay of Dramatic Poesy. Samuel Johnson, Preface to Shakespeare. Wordsworth, Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Coleridge, Imagination. Shelley, Defense of Poetry. Matthew Arnold, Touchstone Method. Walter, Art for Art's Sake. Today, we revised 10 of the most important literary critics from the classical, Renaissance, neoclassical, romantic and Victorian periods. अब आप UGC NET English के कई frequently asked concepts revise कर चुके हैं. In part 2, we will cover T.S. Eliot, I.A. Richards, F.R. Lewis, Vincent Beardsley, Roman Jacobson, Ferdinand de Saussure, Roland Barthes. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. See you in part 2. Happy learning with the Ing Genius.